Hey everyone, Heather here. I'm a radical health care practitioner and EMF specialist, and today I want to show you the difference between EMF levels in a about a 2013-2014 iMac and the brand new 2020 iMac. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because for the last several years I've used this older iMac version and it's been really awesome, but it kind of kicked the bucket this winter, and so I upgraded and got a 2020 iMac. Now, I'm someone who is sensitive to EMFs. I can tell when there's strong man-made EMFs in my environment. My body has physical reactions and health symptoms. Most people do, however, they're just not aware of it. And a lot of my work in the recent EMF 101 course that I released, teaching you how to mitigate your EMFs to help support your health, really goes into detail about how our exposure to man-made EMFs actually causes physical health symptoms. So when I upgraded to this new iMac, I immediately started to get some just weird symptoms that are kind of out of the ordinary for me, especially today. So I started to get heart palpitations, heart arrhythmias, anxiety, and just felt super fatigued. I was totally worn out after using my iMac. And when I am online, I don't use Wi-Fi. So our house is completely hardwired, so I don't use Wi-Fi. And I would still experience these symptoms just by using the newer iMac version and model. This is even when I'm not connected to any internet source. If I just were to, hey, open it up right here, turn off any Wi-Fi access, and just do some typing, I would still get those symptoms. A lot of people experience negative health symptoms simply from being exposed to EMFs. However, we tend to be in denial about this because the medical community doesn't bring much awareness or support to this area. It's even considered, one is a hypochondriac or has psychosomatic issues if they report health effects from after being exposed to a strong EMF environment. However, these are very real. Most people are walking around today with one and usually several side effects of EMF exposure and toxicities. Some of those include the symptoms that I just named that I was personally having when using this iMac, the new iMac 2020, which is about to get packed up, shipped back, and refunded because I refuse to use a device that's giving me massive amounts of radiation, which I'll show you here when we measure it with my EMF radio frequency meter. So some common symptoms, if you're curious, like, oh wow, I wonder if my computer or my exposure to EMFs is actually causing me health issues. These are some things to look out for, and mind you, this is just a very short list I'm going to name to you. There's a lot of other physical, mental, emotional health symptoms just to be aware of. So hopefully this video not only shows you the difference in radiation levels between iMacs and when you upgrade. I even called Apple support and asked them, hey, the exposure, the radio frequency exposure I'm getting in the older models compared to the newer models are exponentially bigger, and it's really sad to me that this is happening, and I'm expressing concern, and literally the words that the technician told me were, when you upgrade in Apple products, radio frequency and radiation always increases, and you should expect to see negative health outcomes by doing so. That is an exact quote from the technician I talked to on Apple about their products, radiation, and what we should expect to see with regard to our health from using them. So there's a lot of ways to still use your computers and devices without getting blasted by radio and microwave frequencies that are the most common frequencies coming from these devices. So keep that in mind. Like, this doesn't mean that you have to completely eliminate your use of technology and Apple products and so forth. There are ways to drastically reduce your exposure while being connected, while using your devices, and that's something I go over in my EMF 101 course. So let's measure. I'm going to, well, before I go there, let's talk about some of the symptoms. So we have insomnia, nosebleeds, fatigue, adrenal fatigue, brain fog, pains in the brain, a sensitivity to noise, especially if you, this is a good example when you lay down in bed at night and everything kind of quiets down, but you still hear this like low-pitched sound. About 2 to 10, 15% of the population hears this kind of like very, very low pitch ultrasound frequency of noise, and this is from our power grid electricity, but a lot of people are fine-tuned into that, and it can cause people anxiety. They can't sleep, they can't think straight. It's a distraction to their mind, and some people experience this. Some other symptoms are diabetes, and these are things that the science and the peer-reviewed studies have actually proven that your exposure to man-made EMFs has shown to contribute to these things. So type 2 diabetes, autoimmunity, cancer is a big one. Heart palpitations, heart arrhythmias, those are some of the main ones. I'll also throw in vertigo and dizziness, because these are common side effects that come from exposure to man-made EMFs. Now, some of us experience these things and we just think, hey, maybe we're run down, maybe we've overdone it, maybe we're dehydrated, maybe we aren't getting enough of a certain nutrient in our diet, maybe we're not drinking enough water. And while those are all things to explore, typically these symptoms stem from excessive EMF exposure in the man-made frequency range. So let's measure here the difference between a 2013-2014 iMac, the radio frequency that comes off of this, versus a 2020. This is the radio frequency meter I use to measure and test for radio frequencies. It's one of the most accurate, highest quality meters that's available on the commercial market. So I'll get it ready for us. Here we go. Okay, so let's open. This is, and I'm gonna put this 2020 model because it's so strong. It picks up frequencies pretty close in the field. So I'm gonna set that aside so we can just get what's going on here. See, this is an older version. Okay, so the screen is on, you can't see it. It's because I have a software on my computer that makes the screen red, so I'm not looking at blue light all day. But anyway, let's see. Here you have it. Okay, so I want to preface this that anything over 0.003 is a health threat and a health risk in the scientific literature. Okay, the Wi-Fi button's turned off, so this is just the radio frequencies coming from this computer. Okay, I'm outside. I'm at least 300 yards away from neighbors, because you want to be at least 300 yards away to not pick up Wi-Fi signals from neighbors who might have Wi-Fi. You can see that the level of radio frequencies, it's slightly above the high levels, but it's still, decent. It's still okay for modern technology devices. It's still pretty low. So I'm getting like 0.1, 0.2. It tends to be right in this range. Okay, let's swap out for the 2020 model. Okay, here we go. So here's the brand new 2020 model. what is this? May 1st-ish. I just purchased this in March, so it's super new. All right, here we go. It was 17, 18, 19, 25, 27, 23. This is very high. This is considered brain altering frequencies in not a great way, in a destructive way. This is a carcinogenic levels, meaning promotes tumor growth in the body. This is really, it's not great, and you can see it's exponentially higher than the older model. So 16, 21, 22, and it's varying between these frequencies because it's searching for signals where, to try to pick up, where is the nearest router, or maybe it's just configuring. There's a lot of new technology in these newer versions. As the technician told me, they're getting ready to be able to handle 5G and other technologies that are being deployed and developed right now that are considered advanced, and Apple wants to keep up with that. So the radio frequencies exponentially increase. Now you might not think, oh, hey, Heather, that's not super high, 10, 8, 7, goes up to 20, it spikes sometimes. But that's very high. That's remember, the safe level is 0.003. And this is something I want to bring to your attention, because we are continuously upgrading, our products, our exposure to these products. And this is something to be aware of when you upgrade. I'm going to close that so I don't continue getting blasted. I won't even use that anymore because of the damaging effects that I felt from it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to be on the computer and write an email or send a text to me or post on social media if I'm going to be blasted with radio frequencies and microwave frequencies. That was just the radio frequencies coming from that device. So you can see that they're drastically different. And once you get outside of that, the higher you get outside of that 0.003 range, and 0.003 is about the frequencies that pulse from the earth, okay? And so the further we get away from that, the further we come in contact with electrical altering frequencies. And electrical altering meaning the electrical currents that our body runs on. So think of your brain, okay? Your brain, and even Western medicine gets this. Your brain operates on frequencies. We measure brainwave patterns, brainwave frequencies. We measure the frequencies and electrical activity of the heart to detect the state and health of one's heart. Those are two examples. Your entire body, including your inner ear and all of your organs and all of your cells and even your mitochondria, the most important molecule in your body that determines your health, all run on electrical currents. And those electrical currents, you are biologically hardwired millions and millions of years ago to be in resonance, and for your cells and your organs and your brainwave patterns and your heart to be in resonance with that 0.003 frequency of the earth. Now that oscillates slightly, but not to the degree that we saw in the devices today and that all of our devices expose us to today. So I hope this video was insightful and helpful, especially if you feel worse after working on your laptop. If you upgrade your Apple products and you're like, whoa, suddenly I'm feeling more fatigued, I can't sleep, my digestion's off, I'm feeling more anxious, I'm not feeling grounded, I'm struggling with insomnia. These are just some examples to pay attention to. They're common side effects of non-native or man-made EMF exposure. And one of my biggest goals at this time is to help people start connecting the dots between, okay, the EMFs that we're exposed to, all these alien frequencies, Alien meaning they're not in alignment with the Schumann resonance or the resonance that comes from the earth and from nature, is really causing and has a detrimental side effects on the body, to the physical body, to the mental, emotional body. And currently, many of us are in denial about this. We don't want to see that, hey, my new iMac that I just spent $2,500 on is causing me to feel sick, and we don't want to say that our earbuds or our Bluetooth devices are causing us to feel sick. Not only are we in denial, but we're not supported in this. It's not supported by the medical field. A lot of the science is, you really have to dig deep to find some of this stuff, because they make great efforts to keep a lot of this information hidden from you. And we can really see this, especially right now around the 5G deployment, which is going on at this point in time. There's literally no studies done on it. And reason being is because once the studies come out, you can't even botch a study on 5G to show that it doesn't cause health effects and negative health effects. And so the industry doesn't want you to know this, because eventually we're going to have big lawsuits on our hands from people experiencing these side effects, and the science eventually coming more and more into the mainstream, making these correlations. However, another big goal and part of my work is to help educate people on, okay, just like we did here with the iMacs today, what is the impact of human man-made EMFs on the physical body, and how can I still stay connected, do my work in the world, connect with people, connect with my sister who lives in Africa, connect with my friend who lives in Italy, do a Zoom call with a client when I live in New Mexico and they live in New York, etc. How can we do these things while also preserving our health? And that is a big goal that I have with people, and it's something that I help teach people with through my EMF 101 course. So you can learn more about me, the course, my work at heathershepard.com, HeatherShepard.com, or tune into the Primal Pioneer podcast, a weekly podcast that I also host. So thanks for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time.